is a purple belt out of Droog's MMA, the gym we're currently at. And this is looking to be an exciting match, right? These guys are both coming in as veterans of Arena.
The other thing I'm interested in is both of them are MMA fighters, so neither are going to be strangers to the cage here. So this is going to be an exciting match for sure. And right away, double unders for Jonathan. Ooh, a possible mat return.
Yeah, the physicality of Jonathan is standing out immediately.
Jonathan will walk right up to top half guard here with some heavy pressure. But Dan doing a good job of staying on his right shoulder and driving up his left arm underhook.
Yeah, Dan's doing a good job of defending here, and he's not allowing the physicality to take over, right? He's using good technique, and he's kind of rolling with the punches, so to speak.
Yeah, and both of these gentlemen are both 1-0 under the Arena banner. They're both veterans. They're both gritty, and they both have a lot of tenacity. And actually, Dan won our Performance of the Night bonus last time that he was on the card because he had a very back-and-forth, really gritty match in which he was able to secure 2 submissions. So I'm interested to see, because this match is already looking somewhat similar to Dan's last match. It's just very, very gritty.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like Jonathan's in on a guillotine here. Dan, no stranger to guillotines himself. Both of them have very similar games. Dan, more than content to stay up against the cage, probably looking to maybe reverse that once he gets control of the guillotine, if he could whiz her out, as his coach AJ is calling.
Yeah, now Dan, as we said, was trains out of and is a co-owner of Droog's MMA and Jiu-Jitsu, and one of his main Jiu-Jitsu training partners and instructor, actually 2 of them, AJ and you, Kat, are 2 both really good with guillotine, so it looks like Dan was able to stay calm there and didn't really seem too phased, because you can tell he's been there before.
Absolutely, both of them looking very good. Jonathan with really good inside collar ties here, and definitely good wrestling, but now Dan in on his own guillotine, which looks like it's going to be a little tight, because Jonathan trying to address that, and he'll get a tap. Very nice.
The tap there.
Guillotine 2 minutes in.
Dan gets the tap.
Yep. Now, Dan did say, since Droog's is sponsoring the fastest submission bonus, he really wants to win that himself, just, to pay himself $100. And
that was really impressive. It kind of looked like Jonathan's physicality was taking over a little bit. Like I said, Dan's, I feel like really good technique just set him up for that, for that submission. It was beautiful.
Yeah, and like we were saying right before that, obviously a guillotine is a technique that Dan's familiar with, both on a defensive position and an offensive position. So we'll be interested to see if Jonathan's going to continue to try and wrestle, since that's where that guillotine was initiated off of. Oh, he jumps in for his own guillotine. He's trying to get a quick tap.
Oh, that is tight.
They're going to walk.
That is tight.
Oh, my goodness, and his ability to get out of that was wild.
That was wild.
Jonathan with a rape choke, which I actually think is illegal in this format. So we should probably watch out for that. But very good job of escaping by Dan. Jonathan trying to secure an arm here. And Dan
nice
coming up
wrestle
in his own
up by
wrestling.
Dan.
Oh, my goodness. Very
wow.
nice.
This is a tight
but a
guillotine
guillotine
here.
also
This is a tight
from
guillotine by
Jonathan.
This is going to be tight. Dan's going to have to hand fight here and walk his feet up.
Only 40 seconds in. He's in pretty tight.
This is very tight. This is very tight here. Dan's going to have to hand fight, and he's going to have to walk his toes up.
So and he'll let go. Very nice escape by Dan, and now he's going to use the cage.
Dan is using the cage.
Jonathan.
These guys are getting gritty in here. This is getting me excited.
Yeah, this is the most MMA-esque jiu-jitsu match we've had so far tonight.
Dan again walking Jonathan to the cage. No strangers to the cage, as we said. Jonathan with an MMA fight coming up very soon, so he looks more than comfortable to be where he's at, not stressed out at all.
And if you notice, both of these gentlemen are utilizing their head position very well, right? This is a very MMA-esque match we have right now, right? They're using their heads, they're gritty, they're grinding into each other, and they're looking for nasty submissions, and you can tell that they're looking for blood here, and I love it.
Dan looking to hit that, and he's out. He was looking for the body lock pass, but I'm just a little late on that, so. Doing a good job of flattening Jonathan up against the cage, keeping his head on the cage. I know that is definitely painful.
So uncomfortable.
That right shoulder pressure from Dan is no joke, so I can imagine that is going to be tight in and of itself. But Jonathan giving the thumbs up to his corner, Larry, that he is A-okay. Just 2 minutes into the match, we're halfway there.
Yep.
Dan in a very good spot right now.
This is one of Dan's favorite techniques here, is he tries to use essentially a smother and lock up essentially the nose and the mouth underneath his shoulder pressure and completely cut off and restrict the breathing of his opponent.
Yeah.
You can see as he's walking that shoulder right up to the nose, he's trying to get essentially like a suffocation from there.
Jonathan has to create space here, right? He's got to create a scramble. Oh, and here we go. There it is.
There it is. There was the scramble, but Dan right back in on the neck.
Dan doesn't
And
give him
Jonathan
any
on
room.
the wrestle, and he'll find the top
Wow.
position to side control.
Wow, this is gritty. Can you believe we're only halfway through this round?
What a fast-paced match. Dan doing a good job of climbing his right arm underhook, trying to escape the cage, keeping the half guard. A little bit of a foot stomp with the right leg, which is something you don't get to see often, but very good technique.
Oh, Dan
Nice.
right back
Back
to his
to a
guard.
guillotine.
Looking
Guard.
for the
That was
guillotine.
beautiful.
Jonathan, though, he's trying to walk around. Now, this is going to be tough, this grip here for Jonathan to be able to pass. He's going to have to let go of that and posture up and try and break the legs open.
Dan's going to be looking, I think, to come on another guillotine if Jonathan does posture up. Dan definitely likes this spot. He's just going to need to sink his arms a little bit lower to finish that guillotine, but it's going to get tight if we're looking at Jonathan's face here. His left elbow definitely does need to come down. His corner is calling for it, and he is absolutely correct. He's a little high on the neck there. The guillotine's a carotid artery choke, and he's not going to be quite on that carotid artery yet.
Now from here, this is where it can get tight, right? If Dan keeps walking through, but it looks like Jonathan did a good job of peeling that hand off. Now Jonathan completely flattening Dan out here from this top half guard position, and this is where he can really start initiating some passes and start setting up his offensive sequences.
For sure. It's just been complete reverse of positions back and forth with these two. But Dan again finding the left arm underhook
going
and getting
that
back to
deep
his
half
side.
again.
Possible darce here maybe for Jonathan on the top. Oh, and Jonathan's corner calling for the darce to use it, but Dan's going to come up and maybe look for a single. Jonathan back to the
Right back on that guillotine. Right back on that guillotine. Dan's going to have to hand fight, and it looks like Dan's going to elect to pull into that bottom position to get out of the danger of that guillotine, which is probably a smart decision when you've got short time in a submission-only rule set.
For sure, 30 seconds left here, but man, this has been quite the round already. Dan getting comfortable in bottom half, keeping his arms tight in this last 15 to 20 seconds of the match before we look at round 3 here.
Oh, there we go. Quick Kimura shot there. We've only got seconds left in the round, and
It's gonna be
Jonathan's.
hard to finish on the wall.
Yeah, the cage right there really creating, restricting movement.
And that's time we're going
Very
into
nice, round 3.
another round. How exciting is this?
Yeah, we've got a 30-second break. Now it's a good case scenario for Dan, because now no matter what, if Dan gets submitted, he gets another shot in round 4. If no one gets submitted, Dan wins because he had 1 sub. And obviously if Dan gets a sub, then he goes 2 subs and wins out that way. So
I'm wondering if either of these guys are feeling it. Are they winded? They are putting full speed ahead. There has been no stopping and no touching the brakes. So let's get ready for round 3 and buckle up.
And that's the thing. While we do have rounds and we do have breaks, the breaks are exactly 30 seconds, right? Which really is just enough time to grab a quick sip of water. You watch professional like the UFC, they get a 60-second break, right? 30 seconds isn't much time at all. This really is almost like a full 15-minute match.
Not at all.
With a small breather.
You have to be in phenomenal condition to recover in 30 seconds. And you're seeing it here. These guys are right back to
Chasing
it.
the takedown, but a heavy sprawl by Jonathan right on the neck.
Yep, looks like Dan's able to clear the danger of the guillotine, and it looks like he is starting to work maybe some potential Z-guard, get that knee shield inside, and try and create some frames. But Jonathan's doing a good job. Oh, Dan circles in that butterfly hook, and
He's been
Jonathan.
playing a lot of butterfly half when he's on the bottom tonight. It looks pretty good, but Jonathan doing a great job of flattening him out. And is this a smother? No,
Yeah, he's going for the front naked choke, no gi
Oh,
Ezekiel
yeah,
here.
Dan defending it, so could be a little tight here. Jonathan's left shoulder pressure definitely doing some work on Dan, but Dan coming back on an arm crush of his own on Jonathan's left arm.
Yeah, we can see that both of these competitors have immense top pressure when they're, especially in these like half guard or side mount scenarios where they can really use that shoulder pressure. And it's nice. Dan's in a position where he can take some risks, right? And as long as he doesn't get tapped, he's going to win this match no matter what. So I'm interested to see how Dan's going to play this as he tries to get out of this position.
Dan's corner calling him to get back to his right shoulder because he is very flattened out. And previously we were seeing him, get the underhook. So he needs to start moving his arms because as they climb up and his arms get isolated, he could be in danger here. So he's going to need to address those grips. And I think Jonathan recognizes that as he takes his right arm and keeps walking it up and compresses Dan's head. We're only a minute 43 in here, and Dan is definitely not in a good spot.
Dan's doing a really good job of locking that leg down. I feel like Jonathan's going to have to go twisted in order to pass his guard, right? He's doing a good job of trying to inch the leg out now. And Dan is wise to it and right back to locking the leg down.
This is where strategy really does come into play. Just like you were saying, Alec, I mean, even if Dan doesn't get a submission, Jonathan has to submit him to win. So, I mean, even if he's just resting, there is a lot of pressure on Jonathan to submit Dan to go to that overtime right now. Yeah,
all the pressure is on Jonathan to get a sub. And keep in mind, we're 12 minutes or so into this match. I know that round one ended in a submission. So we're late into this, and Jonathan has to get a submission if he wants a shot at winning this. So Dan, I don't think Dan is just trying to survive. I think he does want to get out and get that second sub, because that's.
Is Dan in on this far side right arm Kimura potentially? But Jonathan also doing a great job of controlling all positions in this round for sure.
Yep.
Potentially looking again for that choke.
Jonathan was thinking maybe a chair sit to the back here. He's got that essential 3/4 S mount here where he's got the foot trapped in, still a technical half guard. But he's able to spin into this and try and take Dan's back.
There's the back take.
He's going to get both hooks in right away. He's about 2 minutes to the sub. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some smothers or some neck cranks in this MMA style matchup here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to get dirty here because Jonathan understands he needs to get a sub here. And Dan just needs to survive, and he's got about a minute and 30 seconds.
Yeah, Jonathan is not going out without a fight.
This is tight.
We have a very good angle, but Dan doing a great job of hand fighting. Jonathan right back in with his left arm, but Dan keeping that control.
Jonathan's got a really tight body triangle here, and you can see he's got that.
Crank,
yeah, that's a brutal neck crank, and he's getting rotation on the hips. But Dan just full of grit and tenacity and not tapping.
Absolutely, I think Dan recognizes if Jonathan doesn't get the tap in this 1 minute left, then Dan is going to be able to win this match, and Dan's going to start to walk the cage with his hips as he hand fights. Jonathan continuing to attack. No breaks in this match at all. This is coming down to the nitty gritty.
And this is what we live for here in Arena. This is so exciting. You've got Jonathan in an advantageous position, but he needs to get a submission here if he wants to bring this into the fourth round.
He's already off on the angle now for the back, so now Jonathan's going to need to re-attack either an arm or look to chair sit back in the next 30 seconds. Otherwise, Dan is going to take the win from his first round guillotine here.
And your most experienced jiu-jitsu practitioners are going to tell you right now he's going to have to throw everything at the wall, and I was hoping to see Jonathan shoot for like an arm bar or something along those lines.
20 seconds. Dan's back in the spot he finds comfortable. That half guard, that potential butterfly, keeping good frames with about 10 seconds left here. Jonathan's going to look to try to sub him, but we are on very, very short time. He is cranking that out in less than 5 seconds. We are close. Oh my goodness.
Wow. So we have our winner, Dan O'Neill, with a first-round guillotine. Yep, moving to 2-0 under the Arena banner. First-round guillotine finish there, and then he hangs on and survives a lot of pressure and throughout all of round 2 and all of round 3, and he's able to take the win there.
These matches are nail biters. I really can't. I might be biased commentating, but that was wild, guys. That was wild. Make sure you guys are subscribing on Arena Grappling.
Wow. Wild man Dan O'Neill. That was a wild match for the wild man. Why don't you run us through your thoughts?
I like my guillotine, so first round, I was looking to set that up. I had all my strength, all my energy, so I sat down one, it was borderline, but I had the strength to finish it then. And just playing defense the rest of the time. I didn't necessarily want to play defense, but holy moly, he came out with some tenacity. He threw his weight around a little bit, and it was
Was there potentially some grit and chutzpah in there too, Dan?
Oh yeah, in spades. Grit and chutzpah in spades in that one. But yeah, credit to Jonathan. Really good top pressure that round, or those last 2 rounds.
This brings you to 2-0 on the arena format. So what would you like to see in the future for arena, for yourself, on arena potentially?
I'd love to see like some weight classes, maybe some brackets, maybe some belts, get people really amped up competing. I love that we're getting like the performance bonuses. You guys are handing out those increasingly over time. So I just love it. It's a great way. It's super high quality production. Great way for young upcoming fighters to get their names out there.
I also need to know, some of those attempts at chokes, front chokes, back chokes, neck chokes, were any of them tight? Because they look very tight.
I was turning my head enough to relieve it, but I was cooking my arms like framing out. So yeah, really fun match, tough match.
Yeah, Jonathan looked very strong.
Man, he was strong, wasn't he? I gave him a couple pounds to do this. He wanted to do it at 50. I usually do 45 for grappling, but man, I felt those 5 extra pounds. Holy cow! Yeah, that was. He's strong. He had like good wrestling, good tenacity, and like I said, he put me on that on me the whole time. It was probably 12 minutes in total, and man, he don't have the gas pedal one bit. So props to Jonathan. That was a great match.
Nice job, Dan.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Right,
well, thank you for coming out, and also thank you for hosting.
Thank you. My pleasure.
There's our